everybody. My name's Dan Osbon, and I'm going to tell you how to make something healthy that doesn't taste like shit. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to have a nice piece of, lean beef. Relatively lean. We don't want it too lean because we want to have some flavor in there. Now, meat's getting kind of expensive out here, and I'm not big on the idea of paying, $4 to $7 a pound, but I found a nice piece of round London broil here, and I'm going to cut this up into what is known as carne picada. Alright, so let's go ahead and get that chopped up. Now today, for what I'm doing, however, this is a bit of a thick cut of meat. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to have a really sharp knife here, and we're going to go ahead and just fillet it down the middle. So you just kind of get it going, just kind of work around. Now, sure, I could just easily have this broil as a meal. However, I like to incorporate a little bit of veggies and sauce and all the good stuff. Meat alone should not be the staple of all your nutrition, even though I live here in Nebraska and that's your civil duty is to eat beef. Otherwise the cows will outnumber us all and kill us all. There we go. It's been nice and filleted. Alright, and now that we have the meat filleted, I should have got a bigger cutting board for this, but that's okay. We're basically just going to cut into thin little slices. Carne picada is usually a finely shredded beef, and it usually goes through something kind of like a paper shredder. And it gives it a very nice texture. However, I don't have the luxury of a carne picada shredder, so, well, since they don't sell carne picada out here, I'd basically just kind of have to work with steak strips instead. But that's okay, because I'm going to make it good, and you're going to see how. One of the people who inspired me to make this kind of thing is my mom, actually. My mom used to make these smothered burritos, and they take a little bit of preparation to make, and she smothered them with a crap ton of cheese, salsa, and all that. There's a beautiful piece of meat. Look at that. Just get your eyes on that. It's a beautiful piece of meat. Yeah. No. Wash the hands real quick. Try not to handle a knife with a meat-touched hand. So, now we have our meat. Look at that beautiful, beautiful red meat. Okay? So, the meat's been done. So we're going to go ahead and retire this cutting board real quick. We're going to go ahead and move on to the veggies. Now then, red bell pepper. There's a big one at one point. It's about yay tall. I've been cutting into this the last few meals, making some nice salads out of it. That's my So we're going to slice some nice rings out of that. And I'll go ahead and keep the seeds too. But don't want the white fleshy part inside. That's never been my favorite. Alright, and let's go ahead and throw that away. There's no point of really keeping anything else here, so let's go ahead and just dice it all up. The rest of that's pulpy core. And there's anything else here worth keeping? Let's see. We're going to go ahead and just very lightly trim out that pulp there. It's usually important to try to cut away from yourself, but I'm very confident with my knife. Used to sell knives for Cutco at one point. Some of the sharpest, long-lasting knives I've ever used. And kind of wish I had my set right now. Probably should have got that when I was visiting the parents. Alright. So we're going to get rid of all this nasty stuff here. Keep all the vital red. Now that we have all that vital red, I'm just going to go ahead and just get it coarse chopped. Nothing special. Alright, and let's see, scoot that over a bit. Once we start getting towards there, you always want to curl up your fingers. Never want to cut your fingertips. You'll see me kind of splay my hands, but that's because my hands will occasionally be away from the knife blade. When I start getting close though, I guarantee you my fingers are not in line with that blade. I promise you that. Never cut myself with the knife before, and I don't plan on starting. The only time I did cut myself with a knife when I was a kid, and that was because I was showing off. My mom walked in the kitchen. I had a big old dull knife, a big old butcher knife, and I was trying to take a swing with it at potatoes because I thought it was awesome how it just cleaved through. It was a dull knife, and I saw some old TV commercials where the guy's like, "We could slice this tomato right in half in midair. Check it out." I was like, "Yeah, I could do that." And I went into my kitchen and grabbed this big old dull butcher knife, and I hear my mom just walking in the door. I'm like, "Look, Ma!" It's like, "I could do it too," and swing! Just took a good chunk of my finger off there. Luckily I didn't cut off the cuticle, but the finger grew back. That was embarrassing. Never cut myself ever since, though. Never cut myself ever since. I knew to respect the knife. Wave the blade. The Bushido. Alright, let's see. Oh, hey, you're a bit longer than I anticipated. I cut you, but you didn't break. There we go. You too. Alright. Some of you may have a bias against one of my favorite things. But you know what? I'm a fun guy. And you know what? Fun guys like fun guy. So, let's have some there we go. Get some shrew. Oop. Got a little bit of that cultivation soil there. Yeah, there. The Lord made dirt, and dirt don't hurt. But you know what? Dirt don't taste very appealing either. Alright. So what we're doing is we're basically just slicing up the mushrooms. Get them into this nice little accordion here. See that? Yeah. And you just... Ooh. Now, what I'm going to do with these mushrooms is I'm going to do a little famous saute that my mom is known for doing. And my mom makes a sauteed mushroom like you wouldn't believe. I've been to 5-star restaurants that can't even make a sauteed mushroom like Mom does. And let me tell you something. Cooking a mushroom underwater, steaming it, don't do that. It's terrible. It makes mushrooms terrible. Don't ever use canned mushrooms either. Canned mushrooms are for sissies, lightweights, and lazy people. You always want a fresh mushroom. As a matter of fact, you know, if it was in the budget, I probably would have went with portobellos. I love me a portobello mushroom, or shiitake. Alright, I know some people got a taste for morels. I'll be honest with you. Even though I'm into culinary arts and all that, I've never actually had a morel. I may actually have one day. I think it has something to do with the texture more than the flavor. See these? These are serrano peppers. These make jalapenos look like a joke. They ain't much to look at. Well, you only need a couple little slices off of them, but let's just go ahead and get a couple in line here. Save myself some time. Alright, there we go. Swing, 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 swing. I love how crisp these things are. They're even crunchy when you get into them, and I like that. You run into them, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a hot surprise. Serrano Fiery Death. Alright, give it the stems. I like to use every last piece of that pepper I can get, though. Now, why are we using hot food? Hot food actually increases your metabolism. The capsaicin, or capsaicin, depending on how you like to pronounce it, basically is an essential ingredient that basically starts your inner furnace. Good for burning fat. It's also good for fighting ulcers and several other things as well. You'd be surprised the health benefits that come from eating hot food. Not to mention it makes you feel alive. Alright, so I think that should be enough of them bad boys. That's enough heat for a small family right there. And I'm only cooking for myself. You think I'm going to eat all this in one sitting, though? You crazy. Okay, so now that we have those done, let's get on to the cooking. Got myself a brand new Faberware copper pan. Nice little thing here. Alright, so now then, let's go ahead and show you what I'm going to put in here. So, first thing we need was we always need lubrication for our pan. For my lubrication, I've decided to choose Bragg's organic olive oil. Stuff ain't cheap, definitely not cheap, but I'm trying to live healthy here, and thing is that working with the olive oil business for a little bit, dealing with people from Gujarat and Hyderabad, I have learned that a lot of olive oils are actually a vegetable oil with a green food coloring disguising as proper olive oil, which is an insult to Italy because Italy just goes nuts over that kind of thing. This is legit, cold pressed, okay? Now, normally I like to use rice wine garlic vinegar, okay, but I'm going to be using Bragg's organic apple cider vinegar with the mother, okay, today because, well, apple cider vinegar has a tremendous amount of health benefits. It's good for you. Don't need too much of it. It's really potent stuff, okay? And for the meat flavor, Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce, why? Because this stuff caramelizes when it gets hot. And when it caramelizes, it adds a nice little layer on top of the meat that just gives it that nice little smoky flavor, because it'll start to burn before anything else in this pan will. And that will give it that kind of like grilled kind of flavor we're looking for. Okay? Not to mention lamb pairings is good stuff. Now, the thing I can't understand about Worcestershire sauce, or any other kind of sauce for that matter, is why in the world do they add corn syrup? Corn syrup is terrible for you, okay? Soy sauce. Why? Because it has that nice darkened color to the meat after it cooks, instead of giving it that gray appearance. And it also adds a little bit of saltiness. Okay? Just to be fancy-dancy, since I don't have a cooking sherry or anything like that today, I'll be using just a little bit of Merlot. This isn't, you know, can I just put a bunch of crap in a pan and call it a meal thing? No. All these things actually do cook in the flavor of the meat. They're more subtle, though, when they're finally cooked in. It's not this big, tasty amalgamation of what it is currently. That's good. That's really good. Alright. And I'll get a spoon here. Spoon. With a spoon! No. Alright. Thumbs up if you catch that reference. Alright. And garlic. I do not ever believe you can have enough garlic, so there's about 3 tablespoons worth of garlic right there. Big ol' heaping wad. That'll be robust. Alright. Can of diced tomatoes. Now, I was originally trying to go for another can there. It caught my attention. I had a lot of good stuff I wanted, but apparently they put corn syrup in it. Diced tomatoes don't need corn syrup. Chili does not need corn syrup. Hot dogs do not need corn syrup. There are a million things in this planet that I can name that do not need corn syrup. Screw corn syrup. Alright. And let's see. I'm going to cook that in there just for flavor. We'll put the serrano peppers in with the actual main juice. And do you want to saute the peppers, or do you want to cook the peppers in with the main broth? No. We'll saute the peppers with the mushrooms. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn on the front heat to about 7. Start getting this mixing pot of goodness to mix up together until it becomes a rather colorful amalgamation of goop. Yep. Now you know I'm going to have to jump ahead here because, you know, this stuff takes time to cook. And I don't want to bore you to tears. You want to give it a couple healthy stirs, get it all mixed together, that way everything absorbs that flavor. Okay. Alright, and let's see, a little bit of Himalayan pink salt. Too fine. I like my little coarser ground for this kind of operation. Alright. That smells good and it ain't even barely warm. Now these copper pans will heat up a lot quicker and they distribute heat nicely. So you do want to keep an eye on this kind of stuff when you start cooking it. Decided to stray away from the Teflon thing because Teflon always seems to keep shedding into my food. And decided to stray away from the ceramic because ceramic after a while just stains, and if you so much as make a mark in that pan, you've officially ruined it. Had my mom get a pair of ceramic pans, and oh man, if you cook something on there beyond I don't know, beyond a 7, you're done. That pan is toasted. I could probably eat that just the way it is right now. That's pretty good. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and reduce that a bit. Once we reduce it enough, then we'll add the meat and let the meat absorb the culminated flavors. Alright, well, as you can see, my wonderful mix has now actually been reduced down. It's not so watery. It has the olive oil in it, so it may look a little bit oily. It's also got the serrano pepper oil in there and whatever may have came out of those diced tomatoes. But now that we have that, let's go ahead and introduce the meat. All of the meat. Oh. We don't want to make a big mess here, so we'll just kind of introduce it in increments. There we go. Now, if I were epic mealtime, I would be like, just throwing it all in there and be like, whatever. And have myself a Jack Daniels. And some Patron. Sorry, man. I'm a little bit too chunky to be a sauce boss. I am no monster's glasses. Maybe when I get in shape and get to the point I can start steadily burning my metabolism like them, I'll turn around and make some stupid stuff like them. Alright. So we get that concoction in there. Let the meat absorb the goodness. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do some sauteing. Alright, so we got our mushrooms. Okay. Now, even Mom likes to use a little bit of Worcestershire sauce for her sauteed mushrooms, so because they caramelize a mushroom real good. Just a dash of soy sauce. Now, my mom likes to use butter. I freaking love butter. Ooh, yes. But can't have it because that would defeat the purpose of this video. So I'm going to use the olive oil, fairly sparing amount. And for flavor country, me and my mom, or should I say my mom and I, proper English, would use a metric butt ton of garlic. You know why? Garlic's good for you. It's tasty. You know what? True person will never learn to appreciate a garlic kiss, except for maybe an Italian woman. I don't know. This is not the ideal spoon to be stirring this with, though, so let's go ahead and there we go. Go ahead and drop that temperature back down to 7 because I increased it to 8 temporarily to simmer. Now, that's not going to be enough mushrooms for me. It really is not going to be enough. Not for how much meat I got going there. Oh. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and introduce a wild card factor, in which you could not predict. The only person who could possibly predict what I'm going to end up using in the place of the missing sauteed mushrooms might be my mom. Might be. Hope you're watching out there. Alright. So, what does Dan use in place of mushrooms? Yeah, shrimp! Bah. You name me a person who doesn't like shrimp scampi and I will punch them in the face. Except for you, Dennis. Dennis, you will fuck my day up. Sauteed mushrooms have now been thoroughly cooked. Now, if they cook with butter, you want to cook them till they're darker. Now, if you cook them with olive oil, you're only going to cook them till they're golden brown. You cook them till they're dark brown if you cook them with butter, though. If I need to explain that one, then you probably are not a very good cook. Alright, so, let's see. Dash the soy. Dash the shire. A bit of the oil. A little bit of garlic. And let's see, some salt. And for the peppers, I'll add a bit of the Merlot. Now we saute the peppers. Why the Merlot? I like my peppers to have a little bit of sweet to them. Just enough to make the peppers taste different than the mushrooms. Beautiful sauteed mushrooms. A lot more garlic than I normally would use, but normally I have a lot more mushroom. Now then, there are healthier choices in tortillas. For this, I decided to go with the carb balance, mainly because it's high in fiber, even though I did find a couple that were lower in carbs. And, you know, I like to keep a good fiber count. My store didn't really offer a whole lot of options regarding that, but I'm going to show you something here real quick. Here's a tip for you that, you know, you might want to know. Tortillas have some flex to them, but when you start wrapping them up, they have some level of give that they fail to do, okay? So, I'm going to show you something. I like a bit smoky flavor, and I like my tortillas to be the ultimate flexibility that I can get them when I wrap up my stuff so it doesn't break. It even has a little bit of stretch to it, okay? Easiest way to do that. My mom does it with the bare hands. Today, I just happen to have a pair of tongs, so I'm going to use the tongs today. And you basically just lay it across the burner, just long enough to give it a couple of ring marks. Alright, so here we have our ingredients. I got myself the delicious, lovely red pepper. It's been cooked with some garlic, olive oil, a little bit of Merlot, a little bit of salt, and kind of wanted to go for a little bit of a roasted effect, so I cooked it just until it was starting to caramelize and start to do the basic initial burning. Okay, then we got some mushrooms and garlic sauteed. It's going to be delicious. Cooked the same way, but without the Merlot. Some basic shrimp scampi. And these are yum yum. The coup de grace, which is basically the meat pile. Good stuff. Now, I could have chosen a better cut of meat for that, but I was cheap, on a budget. I just spent $100 doing all my other groceries, so I wanted to make sure I had enough to get what I needed. Alright. Got our nice, wonderful heated up tortillas, which now have our little ring marks on them. Then I have some leafy green. Yes, leafy green. A little bit of habanero sauce. This stuff's really not as hot as you think it is, trust me. Like, yeah. This stuff right here puts that to shame. And this will keep burning inside of you. It'll keep burning. It's a long burn. Long, slow burn. And well, hey, you know what? Even a health nut's got to have some cheese. I could have went to the health store and picked up some health cheese, but you know what? We'll take what we're familiar with. Not everybody has access to a health food cheese store. Now then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this all together. So, we're going to get those tongs. Get those tongs. Alright, so, get a little bit of meat up in here. Just enough to get like a basic initial layer here. Make sure it's a tight formation. Take some of those wonderful shrimp scampies. Then we're going to go ahead and take some of those roasted red peppers. Not fire roasted, but skillet roasted. Not really roasted, I guess. But they'll taste roasted, trust me. Because the way I cooked them. It's not my first rodeo cooking. Alright. Alright, so after that, we got to get some green up in here. Get some green up in there. That's a thick one. That's a very thick baby spinach. Okay. Now then, a little bit of salad dressing. Hot burning. A bit of cheese. Oh, please, baby, please. Yes. Okay. And because one form of dairy just never seems to do it for me, gotta get a little bit of sour cream up in that place. Then a little bit of habanero. Yes. Yes, indeed, this will be hot. It will burn. Okay, so now we just come in, roll our fingers back, tuck it tightly, pull off that excess. No. Go ahead and tuck that in a little bit. Oh, that's spicy. Okay. Let's go ahead and make the second one now. I'll go ahead and park this guy right here. Show you how I made that one more time. Alright? If you want a cleaner version of how to do this, I'll show you the cleaner way. The cleaner way to do this would be the sour cream first. An alternative and neat way to do this is to spread the sour cream or black beans first, if you have some black bean on you. Yes. Yes, indeed. I will take all of that. It seems every time I start recording again, somebody's got to post something on Facebook. I will get you. I will have you. Alright, and big old chunk of meat and sauce. Alright. On top of that meat, we'll go ahead and put a little bit of our cheese. Alright, good stuff. And we'll go ahead and scoop out some of them shrimps. Then a little bit of them roasted red peppers. Yep. Gotta get them all the way down to the bottom. Come on, get down there. A little bit at the top too. Okay, so now I'm out of them. You know what? Flavor country. Yeah. These two would be my dinner tonight. Picking one of them shrimp scampi. Yummy. A little bit of habanero. Burning up your ass, burning it on up. Whoa! A little bit of big stuff. I'm gonna make this one a little bit different. See how I like it better. I did mention I'd be using Cholula today, so we have the chili garlic Cholula. This stuff is delicious. I could drink this right out of the bottle. I have drinking this right out of the bottle. Yum. Alright. And to cultivate a good appetite, a little bit of leafy greens. Then we fold up. Actually, fold up, fold inwards, then around. Okay. There's about 100 different ways I know how to wrap a burrito, but I like an open-faced burrito. It just says, "Come and eat me," you know. Okay, so now that I have both burritos here, there you go. 2 delicious open-faced burritos. And that, my friends, is how you make a delicious pair of burritos that are actually fairly healthy for you. Have a good night.